Welcome. My name is Linda Gauthier, and my website is Fine Art by Linda. I am here to teach you how to paint. Now, you may say that that is an impossible feat, but I would like you to withhold your opinion until you've heard me out. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm going to tell you about the class, and then I'm going to tell you why you need to take the class. So a little bit about me. I do not have an art degree. In fact, I have not attended an accredited art college. I am not a full-time professional artist. In fact, I'm a very part-time painter. Yet, I'm an accomplished artist. Celebrities have commissioned me to do their portraits. I have taught art in France. Collectors buy my pieces, and I am privileged to have a loyal student following, many of whom have become accomplished artists in their own right. So now let's talk about you. You may have been told that you need to know how to draw before you can paint, and that you're going to have to study anatomy and color theory and composition and perspective, and that it'll be years before you can become an artist. And maybe you have taken some classes and you've come away frustrated and discouraged. And you might have even gotten it in your mind that you are not creative and that you cannot paint. Well, I am here to tell you that yes, you can, and I will show you how to do that, no matter what your background. My first class is called Amaze Yourself with Your First Oil Painting. And this is a very basic class. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what tools to buy at the art store. That can be a little confusing. And then we're going to set up the space. I'll show you how to set up the space and what to do with that white canvas and how to start the painting. And then how to train your artist's brain. And then we'll do the cleanup without using any toxic chemicals. Now, I will guide you through this process, brush stroke by brush stroke. I will guide you all along the way, and you will change your opinion about yourself. Now, this first painting is going to be black and white, and I need you to trust me. And even more importantly, trust yourself, because this will give you confidence and set you up for your next oil painting. And even though it's going to be in black and white, you are going to be very proud of this painting. Now, if you are a more advanced student, then you don't need this basic stuff. My next class is called Bring Your Painting to Life. And I want you to experience this method of painting, because what you'll find is that your painting comes together so easily and so quickly. And this method is scientifically proven, it is easily explained, and it is very successful. Welcome. I'm so honored that you're taking my class. And I want to share with you, you saw from my intro that I do have a lot of students, but I want to share with you that this is my first online class. And I'm a little nervous. I'm very excited. So I would like to just center myself, and I'd love it if you would join me. So I want you to just take all those thoughts, about what time do I have to go pick up the kids? Are the bills going to get paid this month? What am I doing taking this painting class? Whatever's taking up space in your head, just let it go and know that your creativity is about to be expressed. So take a deep breath, and we're going to have just a little bit of this. Okay. I'm calling my first class Amaze Yourself with Your First Oil Painting, because in a few short hours, if you're a beginner, you're going to be amazed at what you've produced. And if you're a more experienced artist, you will be amazed how easily and quickly your painting comes together using this method. But either way, you are going to be amazed. Okay? So let us get started. We're going to talk about your equipment, okay? So you're going to need an easel, and we have this lightweight easel, aluminum. It's not very sturdy, and it's not, you don't get to anchor down your canvas so well, but that's one. And this is a little table easel, which is wonderful. I would choose this. It's inexpensive. It's about $35 at the art supply store. And if you don't have a dedicated space and you're going to have maybe a corner of the kitchen or the dining room, this is nice, and you can take it down easily. So that's a good one. And then we have a standing aluminum easel. Again, kind of mid-price there. And then, of course, the easel that you really want ultimately, a standing wooden easel. Very nice. Now, there are also different kinds of canvases. So we have a canvas which is on a board, and we have a canvas that's stretched on wood. And either one is fine, but I would tell you that in the beginning I used the canvas board because they're very easy to store, and what a surprise, I was not selling a lot of my paintings at that time. So I think that's kind of a good one to start with. Now we're going to need a palette knife, and we're going to need our brushes. And what I would say to you about brushes is that they're expensive, and maybe in the interest of your budget, you might start off with 10 to 15 brushes. But in my opinion, you can never have too many brushes. It's like shoes. Well, guys aren't going to get this, but ladies will get it. We can never have too many shoes, right? Of course. Okay, so I use round brushes, and they come in different sizes. So let me put these in order here. We've got the 4, the small one is the 4, and then we have the 6, the 8, the 10, and the 12. So I'm going to get a good shot of that. And you want to get oil painting brushes, and then I get one small brush for detail. Okay. Now we have palettes. Let's talk about palettes. There's a glass palette, there's the wooden palette. I have a wooden palette here, and you know, you think of this like in the films, you know, very Parisian, holding this with a beret, but it's kind of messy in the end. Of course, it's an art piece in its own right, when you get done. But me, I am a 21st century person, and I use palette paper because it's so easy to clean up. You just throw it in the trash when you're done. And I use this Gray Matters palette paper because it's a neutral tone. You don't want to be putting your paint on a white surface because you're not going to get a true sense of the color. So you need something that is a neutral tone. And for paint, okay? Now, you're going to be tempted to buy the student grade paint because it's cheaper, but I would suggest that you buy the studio grade because with the student grade, you're going to have a hard time covering. You'll be going over and over it again to get the coverage that you need. So I would suggest that. Now, you're going to need paper towels. So these are my paper towels, and I use these for cleaning the brushes, cleaning the palette knife, wiping up stuff. But then there is a special kind of paper towel that artists use, and this is called Viva. It's a cloth-like paper towel, and you can use this to wipe back on your canvas because you might be making some corrections. I know I do. You're going to need a table to put everything on, a wastebasket for your paper towels. You are going to need a space that is well lighted and well ventilated. You're going to need a jar, and it can be a mason jar. It can be, this is a pasta sauce jar, but a tall jar because you're going to put your wet brushes in there. That's how you're going to store your wet brushes. Okay, so to recap, you're going to need your easels, you're going to need your canvases, you're going to need your brushes and your palette knife. You are going to need your palette paper. You are going to need your paint and your paper towels and your jar and your wastebasket. Okay? Let us talk about tones. This method of painting is based on tones. Tones and values. This is an artist term that refers to the darkness and the lightness of a color. So let's think about this. Let's say in nature, there are thousands of tones. So we look at a tree and you see the lightest shade of the tree. It could be a leaf that's being hit by the sun. It could be white. And then there's the deepest, darkest green that's in the darkest shadow of the tree. And in between those two tones are all the tones in between. So those are tones, okay? Now, in the artist world, we have reduced it down to 10 tones. And for our purposes, we're actually only going to use 5. But I want to first show you the artist's 10 tones to begin with. So where do we find these 10 tones? Now, our painting is going to be in black and white, so we're going to look for a grayscale. This is a grayscale value finder that you can buy at your art supply store inexpensively. And I have laminated it because when you use things in your studio, you get paint on them. So good idea to laminate, okay? This is the color wheel. You can buy this at any art supply store as well. And you can see the grayscale here and here. Part of it's here and part of it's here. Okay, so we've got the white here and the darkest here, although the black shows up over here. So, and there's a lot of really good information on this color wheel as well that will help you mix tones and colors. You can also find it on your grayscale or your Gray Matters palette paper. Very interesting. There's a lot of great information on this. And there's also a color wheel on this one. But now I need to warn you that the numbers that they gave the values are backwards. They had white as 1 and black as 11. They ended up with 11 instead of 10. But so I have corrected that. And we start, because every place else, white is 10 and black is 1. You go down into the dark, okay? So that's a palette you can use for mixing. And then I've created my own tonal palette. And you can get this on my website. And I have circled the colors, the tubes of paint that you need to buy in order to mix the entire palette. But there's that grayscale on there too. Because we're painting in black and white, we are just going to be right now invested in the grayscale. And I am going to use titanium white for the 10 and lamp black for the number 1. Okay, I need you to number your palette. We are going to start, and we have our white, our titanium white is number 10, and our lamp black is number 1. And we are going to mix the odd numbers from the grayscale, okay? So we'll start with the 9, which is mostly white, as you can see. Just the littlest black in there. And that's too much black already. Okay, that's a pretty good 9 right there. Okay. Now we're going to come down to the 7, which is right here on the grayscale. And this again is going to be mostly white. Okay, that's a pretty good 7. Just a touch more black. Okay, we got our 7. Now, we're going to come down to our 5. So make sure you've got good light when you're mixing your tones. Light is critical in your studio space. Having a hard time getting this light enough here, but we're almost there. Okay, that's a pretty good 5. And now we're come down to the 3. Okay, so see, I'm lining this up with the numbers on the palette. There's a little too much white there. Okay, nice 3. Okay, so take a look at that palette. And the reason we pre-mix all of our tones is so that when we start painting, we can just jump into painting and not worry about mixing colors and tones. It's all there. We just put the tones on where we see them. I start you off painting from a photograph for several reasons. Number 1, it is a stable reference. You won't bump at the table and move the objects, the light won't change, and your flowers won't droop within a few hours. So it's a stable reference. The other reason is that I have not gotten people to sit for me. I get commissions to do portraits, but nobody is willing to put in 6 to 8 hours of sitting. And good luck getting your children or your grandchildren to pose for you, right? Yeah. So photographic reference, and it opens up your subject matter. It is unlimitless when you are painting from photographs. So we're going to do that. Now, this is your setup. So we are going to have, if you're right-handed, your photo reference will be on the left and your canvas will be on the right, like that. And if you're left-handed, you can't paint. Oh, well, okay, maybe you can. Let me think. We have geniuses that are left-handed, don't we? Albert Einstein, and don't forget Leonardo da Vinci. Okay, so if you're left-handed, you're going to reverse this. Your canvas will go here and your photographic reference will go over here, okay? So one of the things we need to do is make sure that this is anchored down. I want you to take your photograph, and I want your photograph and your canvas to be the same size. I'm working on an 8 by 10, and I suggest that you keep your canvases small in the beginning because you will finish quicker and you will learn just the same as on a smaller canvas, but it won't take as much time. So a small canvas is good to start with. You can work up to the big canvases. So as we're looking at this, I want you to start using your artist brain. We want to train that brain to think, to see things like an artist sees them. So I need you to register what you're seeing visually, not what your brain tells you to put down. Your brain is going to say, okay, this is a pepper in a bowl, and I think this is what it should look like. I don't want you to go there. I want you just to see the tones and the shapes. So how do we train your brain to just see the tones and the shapes without seeing what you think this picture should look like? Well, here it is. We're going to take our photographic reference and we're going to turn it upside down. So now in your mind, you cannot visualize what you think it should look like. Now you're going to have to just pay attention to the shapes, the tones, the highs, the highlights and the darks, right? And all in between. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. This will help your brain. You're going to use 2 brushes, one to paint with and one to measure with. Now, I know that those engineer brains out there are going to want to use a ruler. You need something with numbers on it? Okay, go get your ruler. You can do that. But the rest of us, we can use this brush. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to start to lay out is the lighter portions. So I want to figure this out right here, this line. Okay? So I'm going to put my brush, I've taken, this is like a 4. This is a 4, size 4 round. And I use rounds because that was good enough for the masters. It's good enough for me, okay? So now I want to figure out where this goes. So I'm going to take the tip of the brush, this measuring brush, and put it at the tip of that pepper. And I'm anchoring, I want you to see that I'm anchoring my fingers here on the side of my photographic reference. I have attached my photographic reference to another canvas, okay? The same size as this canvas. So I'm going to go from here to here, okay? So you see I have that spot marked? Yes, right there. I'm afraid you're going to see my back most of the time during this painting, but that's okay too. Okay, now I know how far it comes out, but how high is it? So to find that out, I'm going to have to measure here. And again, I'm anchoring my finger here at the bottom of the easel. You see it? And that's where that spot's going to be. So let me think. Okay, I need to move it up a little bit, don't I? So that's my spot right there. Right there. Okay, so I have 2 marks on my canvas now, and I'm going to wipe this second one off, with my Viva towel, so that I know where that top is. Now the next thing I'm going to measure is this one right here, okay? So again, anchoring my hand on the corner of the easel there, excuse me, on the corner of the canvas, the photo reference, and then moving it over here to my canvas, and that's my mark. And then again, how far up is that mark? So we go here and here, okay? So I really want it a little bit lower. So I can make this mark. We can notice that there's a little curve in there, so we're going to curve it a little bit. A little like that. And now the next one I want to figure out is the tip. Where does that end? And how far up is that tip? Let us see. Okay, I didn't get it up high enough this time. So again, I'm going to wipe back this so I know where my mark is. And now I'm going to connect the line here. Okay, so we got the beginning of that pepper. Isn't that great? Okay, now the next thing I like to do is figure this out. Now I know this is a stark white, and we can come back and lighten it up, but right now I just want to put it in for placement. So I will measure this again the same way. Okay, that one I got pretty good. Okay. Okay, excellent. And then that's a little bit of a curve. Not much, but a little, just a little. Okay, so we're going to put this in a little bit like this. Okay, and I want to put in this line here on this pepper. Okay, so I put it way too high up, right? So this is where my Viva comes in. I'm gonna wipe that one back. And I'm putting it on very light. My paint coverage is very, very light. Okay, now this doesn't look like much, but it's a wonderful beginning. Now, I am going to put my wet brush in my jar. Be sure and do that. And I will grab another brush, and I am going to start putting in some of my darker tones. So I'm going to come in with a 3. And I'm going to start putting in these lines here. Okay? And this will start determining more about this particular pepper. Very lightly. See how light I'm putting that on? Okay. Okay, I put that too low. Bringing that right up. Okay, I want you to use a different brush for each tone that you're using. And right now, what we're going to do is cover the canvas. So I'm going to use some of this one and fill in some of the background, okay? And again, we're going to put it on light. We're not going to put it on heavy. we have done is we have covered the canvas. And I'm hoping that you have been paying as much attention to the negative space, which is the background here, as you have the positive space as you've been painting on there. And we've just very loosely placed things where we think they ought to be, and we've just blocked in some of the tones that we need to refine. So the next thing we're going to do, I think we're ready to do this now that your artist brain has kicked in a little bit, is that we can turn it right side up. Okay, so here we go. So now we've turned it right side up. You can see that we have a very impressionistic painting, and if we finish the background, we could almost stop there, but of course we're not going to do that. And we can see that this pepper's too fat. We've got to figure out where that happens. It looks like I need to come down a little bit more on the bowl. And we'll just keep working and refining it till it gets a little bit closer to what we want, okay? Go and get a mirror, okay? Oh, I could use a little more lipstick. Oh wait, okay, it's not about me. Okay, we're gonna use this mirror. And we're gonna put it so that you can get both the photographic reference and your canvas in the mirror. And this will help you see where you need to make some corrections. think I want to go back and lift my highlights a little bit more, and then I can see I need this to be a little darker tone. So I'm still making corrections here. Congratulations, you've completed your first oil painting without the need of long, expensive, formal classes. You have just created your own original piece of art. Stand back and appreciate what you have done, and let's have a toast to that. Congratulations. Okay, now we are in the kitchen for cleanup, and hopefully you've taken the dirty dishes out of the sink. Yeah? Okay. All right, the first thing is I want to show you how very easy it is to clean up this palette. You can just rip this page off and throw it in the trash. Okay. Now the other thing about the palette is with oil paint you can actually put tin foil over it and store it in the freezer, and it will keep up to a month. Also, if you've got oil paint on your clothes, if you spot clean it that day, it will come out. So that's the good news. Okay, so we've taken care of the palette. Now let's look at the brushes. So I'm going to take, first of all, I'm going to wipe each brush. I'm going to take as much paint off of each brush as I can, one at a time. Okay, we're going to do that. And then I'm going to take some very inexpensive oil, some canola oil in this case, but it can be pretty much any kind of vegetable oil. Pour that in a cup, and then we're going to smush the brush around in the cup, doing the hula dance here. Get as much of that off as we can, and then wipe it again real good. And then I take a bar of lava soap. This soap has pumice in it. It's amazing. It's getting harder to find. You used to be able to buy it in grocery stores, but now I find it at Walmart in the automotive center. Yeah, it's what mechanics use to wash their hands with. So we're just going to put that brush on there and scrub on there until no more color is coming out. And we want to get it as deep into the brush as we can, down into the filial. And once we've done that, we're going to rinse the brush really, really well. And then we're going to wipe the brush. And we're going to lay the brush on its side to dry, leave it overnight. Now we don't put it here this way to dry because we don't want to get rust into the filial. So we lay it on its side. So we do this process with each of our brushes. You have learned the grayscale, and you have learned how to see with an artist's eyes. You've learned how to clean up. And we've learned how to set up, which is very important because it will help facilitate your painting and make it easier for you. So you have painted a beautiful painting, and you have cleaned up, and now you are ready for the next class, which is make your painting come alive. And this painting will be in color, and it will be magnificent. So I will see you in the next class. Thank you so much.